Caesar's proconsulship of Gaul, which occurred after his very tumultuous consulship of 59 BC. He's about 41 years old now. The proconsul is an interesting position of the Roman Republic. It was a 1 year governorship or generalship following your consulship. Caesar's was unusual because even before he left, they extended it to an unprecedented 5 years. There's a reason for this. The reason is that, of course, the consul or proconsul still holds the imperium. Imperium was bestowed upon certain offices that gave them the power to control an army and to be unassailable or invulnerable to prosecution while they hold the imperium. So Caesar had control of the armies that he started off with. He increases them, and we'll see that next time. He was in charge of civil government in his province. And most importantly, he couldn't be prosecuted by his enemies for all of his dirty dealings while consul. Remember, he did a lot of, well, everything he did was illegal. His colleague was Bibulus. Bibulus chose to stay home. He couldn't get anything through the Senate, so he used the assemblies. And as a result, Caesar's consulship is just illegal from start to finish. But while he held the imperium, he couldn't be prosecuted. And he could be run for consul again in 10 years and then start the process over. The other purpose of the proconsulship was to recoup the costs of consulship. Remember, political office in the Roman Empire, Roman Republic, was not recompense. There was no paycheck, but it cost money to run. Well, how do you recoup the costs? Caesar, we said, was in great debt before he headed out to Spain, and he was in debt before heading out to Gaul. Well, the number one way that you can legally do it as a general is selling of slaves. The prisoners of war can be sold as slaves. Also, if you were to attack another people, there was the booty that would be there, and he would get some degree of the booty. He would get all the slaves, but some of the booty. Now, it is noted that Caesar did some serious ransacking of temples. That's where the gold was and the silver because of the statues. He didn't report all that to the Republic, though. So he was able to come out of his proconsulship as the very richest man in Rome, even richer than Crassus. Now, at the time of the Caesar's time, the various provinces you could have would be Asia. The rest of this area are held by client kings that Pompey put in charge. You have Macedonia, then Achaia, also known as Greece, Sicily, Africa, Sardinia, and Corsica, Gaul, farther Gaul, and nearer Gaul. And then, of course, you have Illyricum, Gallia Cisalpina, which means this side of Gaul or nearer Gaul. And across the Alps would be Gallia Transalpina. Those were, generally speaking, the districts that he had. Now, Caesar started off, they tried to just put him in charge of parks and recreation for Italy. That would have been terrible. There's no wars and no profit to be made. But through his political leanings and through his machinations and toadies, he was able to get voted to him Gallia Cisalpina, or Cisalpine Gaul, this side of the Gaul, which is basically it's northern Italy. They had been settled for a while. And then, of course, the province, Transalpine Gaul, which was on the other side, more recently conquered. So therefore, they were a little rougher. And with the death of the governor of Illyricum, which is this coastal pirates here, that's where some chances for good war was held. He could have expanded to Illyricum, meaning he could have gone to the east. A lot of booty possible there. But Caesar starts off his consulship with Cisalpine Gaul, Transalpine Gaul, and now Illyricum, though he spends no time in Illyricum in the next 10 years. So it's important to note that when we deal with Gaul, the Roman provinces had been captured before and taken before. But where Caesar's going to be doing his big attack is in Gallia Comata, or Gaul of the Long Hairs. That's outside of his provinces. In fact, how much outside it is? Look at the size of Caesar's conquest in Gaul, in pink right here. It's almost as large as as Spain. In fact, larger than Spain. It's a huge area that Caesar is going to be conquering. And in the Gallic Wars from 58 to 50 BC, here's the province, here's Gaul, the Provincia, the Gaul, Transalpine Gaul, here's Cisalpine Gaul. But when we look and see the area, he takes over Belgica, or Belgi, Belgium, Celtic Gaul, which is primarily Gaul of the long hairs. These are the barbarians. And even Aquitania going in the northern part. So what Caesar's able to do in these 5 years is amazing. No one has done this ever since. In this time, it is estimated by classical sources that 1 million Gauls died in battle. 1 million Gauls were sold into captivity. The size of Gaul at this time was about 15 million estimated. So that's 15. No, sorry. That is a huge population. That's 2 million out of 15 million. It doesn't seem like 2 out of 15. We don't think that's huge. But this is the greatest amount of impact on France that they've ever seen for dead and lost. Even of all the horrors of World War I and World War II, 2,000 years later, the impact on Gaul was nothing compared to what Caesar did. And remember, he is able to do these next 8 years only as a defensive war, that he had to do it. So we're going to be reading through the Gallic Wars in the next number of readings, and at least the recitation found from Suetonius. So you see a lot about Caesar's character from Plutarch, but something to keep in mind is though he was a brilliant general, he was a brilliant general at the cost of 15% of your population. 15% of your population is a lot. That's a huge number. So realize this, that none of this stuff comes through easiness. All right, well, there's your stuff you need for the background for Caesar, and I am glad to look forward to reading your essays.